Hello, and welcome back to the Spoilercast, the show where we talk about movies and we don't care about spoiling them. And today we were going to talk about See How They Run, the new, murder mystery comedy starring a bunch of people. Yeah, but I got sick and actually had to stay home from work, which, also then implies that I couldn't really go to the cinema today. And it's, yes, very, very out of fashion, and I never get sick, but I was actually, bedridden for most of yesterday, all of yesterday. So we decided to do something that we could do from home. So instead of talking about See How They Run, we're gonna talk about something a lot more fun. No, wait, that's the other way around, because we're gonna talk about Jeffrey Dahmer!
Yeah!
Yeah! But we're not gonna talk about the new Dahmer Netflix series. We're gonna do a deep dive. So we're actually talking about the 2002 Jeremy Renner star vehicle, Dahmer.
Yes.
Yeah. A movie I saw, back in 2002 or 2003. I was a little too young for a movie like that, I would say. And rewatching it now is just like, what? I was gonna say, why would they let me watch it? But nobody let me watch it. I just watched it because my friend had it on VHS. It's a very, very different kind of true crime movie from how true crime is today.
Yes.
And it was kind of before true crime became a big thing. Because true crime has kind of come and gone in waves. I know.
Sure.
You had a few years ago, you had a small boom of true crime movies, cheap direct-to-video horror movies about BTK and Green River Killer and Gacy, John Wayne Gacy, which I know one of the uncredited screenwriters of this Dahmer movie actually wrote that John Wayne Gacy movie.
David Burke?
Yes, exactly. And then of course we had the new wave of true crime, which I guess started with Making a Murderer in 2013 or 14?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, when Netflix just they created this new it is a documentary, but it's almost like a TV show, but about real people.
I'm not sure if that started before or after that podcast. What's it called? Serial?
Oh, Serial. Yeah, I mean Serial was also part of that, but Serial wasn't all about I guess it wasn't all about crime. The first season, of course, was about a murder. Yeah, Adnan Syed and whatever the victim's name was.
Yeah.
But then the second season was about a prisoner of war, John Bergdahl or something. And then I never finished the third season of Serial, which was about the disappearance of the guitarist in Manic Street Preachers, who just disappeared one day. I think it was that, at least.
Yeah, I only listened to season 1.
Yeah,
actually.
I don't know if they made more seasons.
There was around that and making what was it called? Making a Murderer.
Yeah. But that was when it really blew up, and after that there were so many copycats right away.
Yeah. Making a Murderer came 1 year after the Serial podcast season 1.
And that it feels like that boom is still going on today. There are so many true crime series on Netflix.
Oh yes,
both dramas and actual documentary series.
And I mean there are more YouTube channels doing longer episodes on it nowadays, and more, I guess, detailed tellings of it. What they can find online, obviously.
Yeah. I've watched a few of those. There's one called Explore With Us, and then there's this one called Coffee House Crime or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I recognize that. I listen sometimes to Bailey Sarian. She does Murder Mystery and Makeup Mondays.
Oh yeah, you told me about her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in a way, I understand the fascination because it's
yes,
it's a little dangerous,
It's a car crash. It's like driving past a car crash. You can't really look away.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, like it's weird that we're so fascinated with this shit because it's so gruesome sometimes.
Yes.
And that's the first thing that stuck out to me with this movie, because I guess we should talk about the movie.
Yes.
Since this came before the two big waves of true crime stuff, it's not very graphic. There's not a lot of blood, not a lot of gore. There's like one scene with like a lot of blood when he's chopping up the first victim.
Yeah, the one victim we see blood from, basically.
Yeah. But other than that, a lot of it is suggested.
Yes.
And a lot of it is. I mean, not even. We don't even really see. We see like 3 victims, I think. All in all, because it's the first.
I watched it today, and I'm trying like.
It's the Asian guy.
Do we actually see him die though?
Yeah. In the end, he.
Oh, right, that's true.
Spoilers,
in the end, he is dead.
For this 20-year-old movie, he cuts him up.
Right, and then of course the guy, he brings him to smoke weed.
Yeah, that's his first victim chronologically, and then in his bed when he. There is another victim, which we don't. I don't know. I guess that guy's dead. He looks dead.
Yeah, and he might be one of the guys from the club. I'm not sure because he looks similar, but we don't really see his face properly, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, and
well, that's true. There's only those 3 technical murders in this movie.
Yeah, and then of course the whole thing with oh shit, what's his name? Marcus? No.
Rodney?
The guy he brings home.
Rodney.
Rodney?
Yeah, the guy with the cornrows or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rodney.
Okay. Rodney?
Yeah.
I do not remember this Rodney. Was it his
who was covering his like cousin's shift at the whatever shop where they sold knives and stuff?
Yeah, okay, yeah. And his cousin was called Corliss, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Whatever. Yeah, but Rodney doesn't. He doesn't become a victim.
No.
Almost.
But, almost. Yeah.
Yeah. And also, well, I didn't start by. Well, I kind of. This episode started off a little weird. I forgot to ask you, like we usually do. What did you think of the movie?
I didn't like it that much. It was hard to follow along because of the jumping in the timelines sort of things, because Jeremy Renner looks the same age throughout the entire movie, basically.
Yeah, more or less.
It's like
they gave him a bit of a beard at one time.
Yeah, and he had a mustache at one point. Yeah. But it doesn't really tell me if he's, like, when that is happening, so to say.
No.
Like, I get when he's younger. Sure, because he lives with his parents in their house. But then after that, I'm not sure. Everything else is just at the same time to me, basically. And also, I mean, I did like that they didn't paint him as like a victim. The first thing they did, which sometimes they do that when they go back and start talking about the history and how he grew up, and we need to feel sorry for him a little bit.
Yes,
they didn't really do that. They started with he's actually kind of cruel. We shouldn't like him. But then they kind of fall into, but we feel a little bit sorry for him.
And that's what I liked about this, because
I didn't like that part.
The plot of the movie, there's not a lot going on. No. And I think it takes place from because I'm pretty sure his first victim was in 1978, I think. So I
didn't look at any facts, to be honest.
Yeah.
And except for short documentaries, so to speak, on YouTube, where they just started talking about his killings, but then as soon as they got past whatever happened in this movie, I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to that because I don't care. Yeah. Jeffrey Dahmer is kind of a boring serial killer to me.
That's so interesting that you say that, because he's one of the most gruesome serial killers ever. The guy tried to create zombies, and he ate people.
depicted in this movie, he's one of the most boring serial killers.
Yes, but that's what
the thing, though.
Yeah, but that's what I
think
because
they're missing half of his whatever issues are. Sure, in this one we're exploring his like fear of being gay, I suppose, or like. Yeah, no, I think it's a fear. He doesn't really understand or accept the fact that he feels the way he does towards men. Or he's ashamed of it or something.
Mm.
We never get to see him eat people, which is what he's famous for, I suppose. So, I mean, that would have been interesting to have in the movie. It feels like this is just like, the first couple of years before we really got into it.
Yeah.
Like they just... didn't care about the other bits that were more gruesome.
Because that's the thing, I was correct there. His first victim was in 1978. That's the guy, the wrestling guy who smokes weed.
Yeah. That's when he's still in school or something.
Yeah, and he was caught in 1991. So I'm guessing this movie takes place in from 78 to maybe mid 80s or something.
Yeah.
Because he's obviously not, he hasn't murdered that many people when the movie starts, At least not what we know of, but that's just a feeling I get. But what I find interesting is the fact that they don't focus on all the murders. They focus on him, and not even not trying to figure him out or anything, or they humanize him without making him without sympathizing with him.
Yeah, sure.
It's interesting because. And I don't know if because they do say that some characters are added for the story,
fictional, yes.
So I'm wondering because I try to find if this Rodney character was real, but I don't think so. I mean, he obviously survived, so why would he ever have turned up anywhere unless he did some interview I was almost a victim of, but I haven't found anything.
No, I couldn't see anything like that either.
Yeah,
I'm thinking he's just a production to have someone poke at Jeffrey and be say something, explore something,
Exactly, because that's also interesting.
Yourself.
Because obviously, a lot of it stems from him, not feeling he doesn't feel comfortable with being gay.
Yeah,
because he grew up in the late 60s, late to early 70s, that's when he because he was born in 1960, yeah. And I mean, homosexuality was not really accepted the way it is nowadays.
No.
So I'm guessing, it was obviously socially awkward, which we see in the movie.
Yes.
Even when he's around people of the same sexual orientation as him, he's uncomfortable with it. So much that he has to actually drug them to have sex with them.
Yes,
which is
I saw
it feels
a short interview with a criminology psychology person. I don't remember what it was exactly. Well, he mentioned Jeffrey Dahmer was probably, like you said, uncomfortable with his own skin so much that he didn't even sort of being with other humans, but of course he had sexual urges, so the closest thing you could get to it was a lifeless body.
Yeah, exactly.
Without having to talk to people or be with people, basically.
Yeah. And obviously he there's this the montage of him at the club.
Yes.
Where he kind of because it starts out with him nervously trying to get the guy a drink, but then he starts to get into the groove, and he does it several times a week or whatever. We don't know exactly how often, but it's over a period of time. He does it several times, so much to the point that it seems to affect him as well. That's just a feeling. There's a lot of understated stuff in the movie. They don't really say oh my god, I feel so inhuman. Or no, it's more in looks, and a lot of it is in Jeremy Renner's acting.
Yes.
Because towards the end,
they don't point it out, but he is an alcoholic apparently.
Yes. Well, he does a lot of drinking in the movie. So.
Yes, but they don't like point it out like, oh, you have a problem, really. I mean, the dad says it after one party.
Yeah.
But it's not something that reoccurs, so you don't really think about it as being a problem, except for him getting drunk at a club and drugging other dudes.
Oh.
Which, of course, is horrible, but it's his way of socializing, I guess.
Yeah. But it goes...
And we don't see it as an alcohol abuse problem, we see it as the whole raping people problem.
Yeah. But it's also, I mean, he becomes so comfortable with doing it that he's literally, like, spiking the drinks on the dance floor. That's why he gets thrown out. So it's obviously, like...
Perhaps he's not comfortable with it. He's just, he's doing it so much while he's drinking himself, so he, I guess, forgets to be careful eventually.
Yeah. Yeah, because he it's hard to explain, like, yeah, it feels like he's kind of, he seems, especially towards the end of the movie, he seems almost conflicted about what he's doing. Though, at the point where Rodney was his name. When Rodney comes back, after he runs out the first time, and he tries to get him to, like, open up a little more, and he just explains, like, oh no, I'm what is it? He says he's a pervert. He's a homosexual. He's a masturbator. Like, all this stuff that he hates about himself.
Yes.
It's kind of obviously stuff he's been struggling with, and kind of why he, I don't think he actually likes killing. Now, here, armchair psychologist, of course.
Sure.
But I think he's fascinated by it, but I don't think he likes it.
Well,
and he also, like, of course, likes the opportunity he then gets to have sex.
Yeah, there's different people saying different things, of course, but the ones I saw were he likes to be dominant and he likes to have, like, control of things, obviously.
Yeah.
The killing in and of itself, I don't know, they don't touch on that specifically, but he likes the idea of then having, a still body.
Yeah, exactly.
To have adventures with, so to speak. And he does have an earlier stage, according to other people and other psychologists and stuff, when he was younger, he liked the dissecting of animals and looking into them and seeing what they looked like, basically.
Yeah.
So no, I don't know if he's actually liking the killing part, but he likes to see what happens afterwards and using the bodies afterwards.
Yeah, there's obviously a fascination about it. That's why he kept the head of his first victim in that box.
Yeah. And he likes the control of, like, having them underneath them, I suppose. Yeah. But then it goes too far. Obviously, we see that in the movie twice. He starts strangling people, but then he changes his mind just before they die.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So he likes it, but he doesn't want to kill them, really.
And that's one of my favorite moments in the movie, actually. Almost, yeah, it's basically the ending, when he does strangle Rodney, but then he stops, because I think he... despite him trying to push, like, he's trying to push Rodney away because he knows if Rodney stays, he's going to kill him. Yes. Because that's his urge, basically. But Rodney seems to genuinely like him, even after he, like, confesses his sins, so to speak.
I mean, he says, no, you're still bullshitting me, so, I mean, he doesn't believe it.
I mean, yeah, of course. If he saw the body.
Ridiculous.
And I think he didn't want to kill Rodney, so because Rodney seemed like a genuinely good person, that he kind of liked. So instead, he, like, scared him away, and I thought that was a very like you said. I'm guessing that's more or less completely made up for the movie, but it's definitely, like, a humanizing moment to kind of cement the fact that he's struggling with his urges, his demons, so to speak. And I like that, and that it's all, like you said, very understated. It's never like there's no exposition dumps in this movie ever.
No.
And I also very much like that it doesn't, like, go into like all the killings, and then he eventually gets caught, like, because that's what all these movies are about. Yeah, exactly. We know that. No, this is more about Jeffrey Dahmer, the person.
Yes,
and it's not perfect. Like they could have delved a little deeper, I think.
Yeah, there are scenes with his family that are very useless that could have been replaced with, I guess, more scenes about him specifically, because just the whole catching the bird, what the hell did that have to do with anything?
Well, that is also that fascination, like, with dissecting animals, like that's like a trait with most serial killers. They like to
sure, but they
kill
that
animals.
Scene didn't depict that really well, in my opinion. It just showed him capturing it and closing it in a box. Is that what he does? Yeah, he puts it in a box, right?
But it then flashbacks into the scene where he keeps the dead head in the box.
Sure.
So I think he reminisces.
But it's an odd. You could have done that in another way, probably.
Yeah, sure. I also wish that, even though, maybe that would have gone too much into him being like a sad character or like a victim or whatever, but I wish they kind of went in more to his childhood. Because according to
a little bit, at least.
Yeah, according to some sources, his parents weren't the most loving parents. Not like they were cruel or like beat him or anything. They just didn't
care.
Yeah, they just had other things to do. His mother was like a hypochondriac, and she wasn't all there. And his father
was suicidal at points.
And his father's, because of those kind of troubles at home, spent a lot of time at work and stuff. So he was like neglected, basically.
Yes.
Which like, hindsight is 20/20, but obviously that like didn't help with his with his future, like, urges and stuff. Like, there's obviously that's part of it, and I wish they kind of went into that a little bit. What little we get with the parents here don't really, like I said, it doesn't really add much.
No, it just touches on things that are, I guess, like you said, it's kind of obvious. We know basically every serial killer in history has had a fascination with, first of all, killing animals or roadkill and stuff, and just exploring dead bodies.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, having him being a neglected child, and according to some, being at points left alone for like months, which we see parts in the movie. We don't know how long time it is when his mother leaves.
Yeah.
But like he was left alone for so long.
Yeah.
And of course, as a teenager, when your parents just up and leaves, I think even everyone moved out technically, and they just left him in the house. He didn't get to come with the mother when she moved out with her new husband or whatever, and the baby. Yeah,
the parents separated. So the dad was living in some hotel or something, and the mom just left to go to be with grandma for a while or something. I don't know.
Someone said that she literally moved to another state.
Okay. Yeah.
And just left him in the house alone. And then, like, the dad found him a few months later. Like, alone? Are you okay?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I wish they went a little bit more into that.
Because it is exciting. Exciting is perhaps not really the right word to use, but you know what I mean. It's interesting to see, of course, the mind and what happens inside the mind of a serial killer. It's kind of fascinating to try and understand them.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, why the whole
true
serial killer boom thing is a thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I've seen a lot of people doing videos about how these kinds of movies are, in a way, toxic, because we're glorifying killers.
Yeah, but
this movie doesn't really do that, though.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Like, this isn't that kind of movie. It's not sensationalizing anything. It's not trying to, like, explain why. Like I said, it does that very hard thing of humanizing without sympathizing.
Yeah. Which
is very interesting, because, like, it not completely makes us understand, but it helps us to understand why he did it. But it does not excuse what he did.
No. However, this movie did have me understanding why some people find serial killers very charming. Because there were moments when he and Rodney were talking that I started smiling to myself. Yeah. Going, oh, this is nice. This is cute. I understand why he's falling for him. But holy shit, you're smiling about a serial killer. Stop.
No, and I think that's partly the point of that scene. Yeah,
sure.
I was the same way. Like, maybe if he just lets Rodney into his life, he can become a good person again. Like,
yeah.
I know that's not gonna happen because I know what happened to Dahmer and I've seen the movie before. Like, yes. It's not gonna happen. But I was like, come on, just let him in, Jeffrey. Let him in.
Be happy.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
No. But I see how he got his victims. He's charming.
Yeah.
Like the way he starts talking to that boy in the shoe shop.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it's creepy that he's like, oh, but you're attractive. I want to take pictures of you. And today, you would just like, no. I'm not gonna go with you for you to take pictures of me, you perv. Same with the guy who, like, he asks him to smoke weed, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll jump into your car. No. We don't do that. You don't get in strangers' cars.
Yeah. But I mean, that's like the 70s, so maybe the 78s.
Yeah, I mean, today we wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
and
we know
in the
better
movie,
nowadays.
He's a teenager asking another teenager if they want to smoke weed. Obviously,
yeah.
Like, my parents aren't home, want to hang out. Cool, yeah, that's how you make friends, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly.
I wouldn't know. I don't have friends. Not like that, at least.
No,
so
yeah,
it's an interesting depiction.
Yeah,
but it's also weird and not 100% entertaining.
And you also kind of wish it was more like modern true crime, a little more gruesome,
a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
Though I do hate how they. I mean, Jeremy Renner is an attractive man. Don't get me wrong, but I hate how they keep casting, especially nowadays, the most popular attractive dudes to play serial killers. Like, sure, Jeffrey Dahmer had a strong jaw and nice facial features, but you don't have to, like, have a model play him.
No, he's a tall, gangly, pasty guy. Yeah. But they did cast Jeremy Renner specifically because he resembled Jeffrey Dahmer.
Sure, they have enough of a resemblance.
But I agree, like, casting Zac Efron as,
yes.
What's the guy?
Bundy, right?
Ted Bundy, yeah. Like, sure, that was also, like, he was described as, like, charming, very handsome, but, like, I've seen pictures. He's not Zac Efron handsome.
Exactly.
Zac Efron
and
is,
I'm not sure if, what's the guy who plays him he plays Dahmer in the new one? What's his name? Evan Peters?
Evan Peters also, not Zac Efron levels of handsome, but he's still like
no, but it's still
he's like he looks like a movie star kind of guy. Almost.
Yes, and also he's played this troubled serial killer persona before, so you're just romanticizing Dahmer with another already established actor who plays those kinds of roles.
Yes.
So you're just adding on to, because in American Horror Story, when he plays whatever the kid's name is,
the first show?
The first season.
Where he's a school shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That character, everyone loved that character. They fell in love with him completely. And now you're asking that character, basically, to play a cannibal.
Yeah.
Come on. You're just adding here.
And I think that, because actually I saw that today, Ryan Murphy, the guy who made American Horror Story, is the guy who produced, and I guess created, this new Dahmer series. So of course he would cast Evan Peters.
Yeah. Sure. But at the same time,
because of the reasons you pointed out, probably. Like,
yeah, but I don't like it.
Evan Peters kind of has a cult following because of American Horror Story. And that also makes me think that show, I haven't watched the show yet. We might do a TV cast on it later. But because Ryan Murphy's making it, I'm getting the feeling it's gonna be kind of like Yeah, almost like not making him like a cool character, but making him sensationalizing a little bit.
Yeah.
Like American Horror Story vibes, you know?
Yes, making it look interesting at least.
Yeah. Because
like
Ryan Murphy
beyond
has...
just being horrifying.
Yeah, Ryan Murphy has that kind of style to everything he does. American Horror Story, Scream Queens.
Oh, yes.
He made that other, like, mini-series about Hollywood murders. I don't remember what it was called.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Like, it's always very stylized.
He has a flair of making horrible things seem, or even scary things seem interesting.
Yeah.
And intriguing more than just being, oh, I want to get scared. No, I want to look at this.
Yeah, and, like, darkly comedic.
Yeah.
Like, almost said it again.
American History X or what?
Yeah. American Horror Story. All American Horror Story seasons are like, they're funny. Some of them are straight up comedies. Like,
sure.
Season, 9 or 8? 9 was the slasher one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that was a straight up comedy for like the first 7 episodes.
He also has a talent of making it look beautiful despite being gruesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the Freak Show episodes or the Freak Show seasons. Somehow it's so pretty, even though everyone's supposed to be this scary freak who eats people and stuff. No, he still looks beautiful somehow.
Yeah. Yeah, and Hotel, if you want to talk about, like...
Oh my god,
great aesthetics.
Holy shit. The psych ward as well, whatever that one was called. Asylum,
yeah. I still... now we're talking about American Horror Story here, but I loved every season of that show, up until, what the fuck was it called? The one where it's like Apocalypse. Was it called Apocalypse?
Yeah, I think so. The last one, right? No, it's not.
They made more. They made
more.
But I was never. I mean, I didn't. I say I loved.
You didn't finish that one.
No, because even though I said I loved every season, but I didn't love every season. I thought every season was good enough that I could actually finish it. But that 8th season, I just couldn't fucking finish. It was so bad and so boring. Even though I know from what you've told me, because you finished it, like that it gets interesting and it actually like
it ties up a lot.
Ties into a lot of the other seasons, which was like, damn it.
It's that's both a blessing and a curse though, because you shouldn't really have to watch in a show like American Horror Story where every season is a different story.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to watch 7 seasons to understand the 8th one.
No, exactly. That's true. That's true. That's kind of the point of having a.
It's a very seasonal based show. It's or story based. I don't know what it's called. There's probably a word for it.
It's called when every season is a new show. It's called an anthology series.
Right. Yes.
It's an anthology. Yeah. You shouldn't tie them together. That's the point.
Yeah. Also, it was a bit ridiculous at points, but yes.
Yeah. And I just didn't think that season worked. Anyway.
Yeah,
sorry. Where were we? Dahmer, yes.
I mean, I can understand the Metascore is 63. I understand that.
Yeah. And it even has a couple of like really good reviews. It even got one like 10 out of 10.
Critics, you mean, right?
Yeah, from critics. Yeah, the Portland Oregonian, Sean Levy. I wonder if it's the director who who's made a bunch of movies now. Free Guy amongst them. I don't know, but anyway, Portland Oregonian. He writes, "It's a triumph of the film that it manages to make Jeffrey Dahmer a human being, at least a member of the species, without ever bending towards empathy with or excuses for him." Like we mentioned.
Yes.
That's exactly it.
I mean, there's
he's
like
a real
one
person.
scene...
He's not a monster or anything. He's a human.
Yeah.
That does terrible things.
There's the one scene when he, when his dad finds him passed out on the couch.
Yeah.
But right before that, we see him like crying over the jean jacket of the guy he killed.
Yeah.
And considering that he called his dad, I'm assuming he called him, like, drunkenly being kind of sorry for what he did.
Yeah.
Because, you call your parents when you don't know what to do about something that happened. And you're sorry about it. That's the thing. But, so he's obviously, like, they show us that he regrets it. And again, like we said
that was
before,
his first victim, so...
Yeah, sure. But they show it also every time he stops strangling those two guys.
Yeah.
So they show it, but yeah, they don't make us sympathize with him, really.
Exactly. And that's what...
We still see it as good crazy person for stopping.
Yeah, I suppose. It's
not like, oh, yes, he is a good person inside. No, it's just good crazy person. Stop. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, there is that little, like, kernel of hope, like, maybe, but we know what's gonna happen. Yeah. Which does, like, that, I think that's part of humanizing him. And then I gotta say, I think it's a really, really good, non-dialogue, no, like, explanation ending, where, his dad wants him to go to therapy, which, like, obviously would have helped. But a person like that usually doesn't want help. Like,
no.
It feels like he...
I mean, they might want to, but they won't be able to admit their actual issues.
Exactly, like, even if
they're ashamed of them too much.
Yeah, you couldn't even tell someone like a therapist or psychologist. So instead of actually going to the therapist, he just waits outside for his dad to come back. But then he sees that wall, and it's just a wall, and he just jumps over it and walks into the woods. But it's so like metaphorically, he's like walking away from a chance at, like, redemption.
Yes.
And how the camera just, like, stops there, and we see him literally just disappear into the woods. I thought it was very good ending.
Yes, I agree. That is a really good ending. I'm sorry, I'm reading some of the lower critic reviews on Metacritics. The San Francisco Chronicle. It succeeds occasionally.
Yeah.
It's just great review. Good job. No, but I agree with some of the other ones. Like Chicago Tribune says, a tasteful, intelligent, well-acted film about one of the most ghoulish serial killers in American crime history. But I'm not sure I understand the other part. I'm afraid that's a good part of what's wrong with it. I'm not sure I understand that part, because it is a tasteful, intelligent, and well-acted film.
Yeah.
I agree on that part. I'm not sure what he means, but Michael Wilmington, the writer, means
that's a good part of what's wrong with it. Maybe
does he mean that it's bad that we're making it tasteful, intelligent, and well-acted, but it's a terrible
he wants
person?
A sleazy exploitation movie, maybe?
Perhaps.
And
if
of
that's
course,
the only thing that would make Jeffrey Dahmer justice.
Yeah. And of course,
I guess in a way, sure.
The review is 20 years old, so you can't read the whole thing. It's not available online. And, I mean, you could probably get it somewhere, but it has one.
We're not gonna put that much work into it.
It has one negative review though. That's complete negative. From the Daily News, Jamie Bernard, and he says, so lacking in insight and gravity that it makes Dahmer seem like a pesky, pasty-faced loser who just wasn't popular enough. That feels like Jamie Bernard was like a popular kid in school. Like, he obviously doesn't understand the person, Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah. He never had to struggle a day in his life. Yeah, because
that's not the point. And it obviously has insight and gravity. It's just that it's subtle. Jamie Bernard doesn't get subtlety, I think. Because, sure, you don't have to like the movie, but that just, like, I think you're missing something there, Jamie.
I mean, Dahmer is a pesky, pasty-faced loser who doesn't really have any friends. Sure.
Yeah, sure.
But that's what gives it the insight, isn't it? Because it shows us the character of him.
Yeah, that's part of it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, there's more to him, sure, but he is that, yes. Yep. Either way, I mean, I try to look at as little as possible of other movies regarding, because I don't think I've seen any movies or shows about Jeffrey Dahmer before.
No,
so I tried not to watch anything before this as well. I only watched like trailers because I wanted to. There's this whole. I think that was another movie or a show. My Friend Jeffrey.
Yeah, which is based on like
Ross Butler, I think or whatever his name is.
I don't know who actually. I know it was mildly popular a few years ago because it was based on like an indie comic book.
I was about to say that because that one doesn't feel the few things you see in the trailer. Sure, there are similarities between that one and the Dahmer 2002 movie.
Yeah.
The whole, he's wearing the same thing. He looks really pasty and doesn't have a lot of friends. And he has the aggression of like we have a few scenes in this one where he starts hitting trees with a bat or something.
Yeah.
Out of pure frustration, more or less. You have that scene as well in the My Friend Jeffrey show, but then you also have him like bursting out in weird sounds and dances in the middle of school. Doesn't feel like a thing he would do, really.
That is though. I read something about that he was like considered like the class clown. Like that was his way of fitting in, and his like pranks usually amounted to him like faking seizures, and like
sure.
What's it called? Yeah, seizures, whatever. Epilepsy attacks. That was like his way of joking. So
I mean, yeah, but that's one thing, and just starting to scream and dance in the middle of hallways another thing.
I suppose
it looks more silly in the trailer, at least.
Sure.
And since we didn't get that at all in the 2002 movie, it's like, what? It's a big contrast in that way.
Yeah. No, it's obvious also in this movie Dahmer 2002 that they had a certain mood and feeling that they wanted to achieve, and like having like scenes of him being drunk in parties and like trying to make friends and like his high school years, doing that stuff that wouldn't have fit in. Like
no,
they wanted.
Again, it would have humanized him too much, I suppose. It would have given us reasons to sympathize with him a little bit.
Yeah. And it's also like, spending a lot of like time with him when he's just alone, I think is more important, because that's literally what the movie starts with. Like what does it say? The mind is a place of its own, or something. Like
yes,
it's the like tagline, but it's also like the first thing it says. The mind is a place of its own. Yeah. Like where, like because that's like he's kind of like, he lives a lot up there, like in his mind. He's stuck in there. And I think that's an interesting tagline, and interesting like it says that just before the movie starts. It says the mind is a place of its own. It was interesting because they never point that out, but when you think about that line afterwards, like yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
yeah.
That he never externalizes, except for that one time when he says, I'm a pervert, I'm a killer, I'm a masturbator. He never externalizes any of his like anxieties or problems or anything. He never talks to anyone about it because he's so afraid of what people will think of him.
I mean, it doesn't help that the first guy he meets, the guy he smokes weed with, he asks him outright, like, do you think it would be weird getting a blowjob from a dude?
Yeah.
And that guy goes into defense mode straight away, like, yeah, no, I am so straight. Fuck you, dude, you just...
I gotta say, like, for being, like, in the 70s, I think he took that kind of question pretty chill.
Sure, but you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, that would be weird. And Jeffrey being curious, and perhaps hoping to explore with this guy...
Of course.
...was very... Oh no, what's the word?
Pushy, I would say.
No. He was like discouraged.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And that formed him going like, oh, I can't talk about wanting to have sex with guys.
Yeah.
They're all gonna react this way. Because he hadn't met another homosexual by then, I think.
In the movie, no. What we know in reality, no.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, and those...
So he didn't understand that it was a perfectly normal thing.
Yeah.
And that guy reacting the way he did just made it worse, unfortunately.
he exacerbated the situation.
Yeah. Which he didn't know. He couldn't have known.
Yeah, of course he couldn't know that he was sitting in the same room as a psychopath. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sad.
It's sad. It is.
It is sad.
I don't know if there's anything more to say without, like, starting to repeat ourselves.
No.
I said, though, before we started that for the Patreon episode, I want to talk about someone that is more interesting, which is a horrible way of putting it.
Yeah, and I think that's so funny that you say that, since he is one of the most notorious serial killers in history.
Yes.
And I think that is mostly because in this movie we don't see a lot of the gruesome stuff. So,
yeah.
I don't know.
Because in my opinion, this is gonna sound fucking horrible, but the interesting serial killers are the ones who have more of an, weird reason for killing people, and not just because they're, I guess, sexually deprived.
Who would you...
I'm thinking of Ramirez, who's like Satanist.
Who's just insane?
Yeah, he's one of the insane and shit.
I can say
he believes in magic, dude.
I watched that Netflix miniseries, which is like 4 episodes or something, and I
started.
I started it before going to sleep. I was at my friend's house, and I was like, I need to watch something to fall asleep to, which was a bad choice because I knew about Richard Ramirez. He's fascinating because he was like, I'm into the devil, yo.
Yes,
but I never like delved into it that much. I was like, yeah, that guy's super creepy, super scary. I mean, he's in talking about American Horror Story, he's in season 9 and briefly in season 5, but that's a different actor.
Yes. For a completely different reason.
Yeah, but god damn, that docuseries was really creepy, going into like the details of how like he would just kill people because.
Yeah, it's like Satan told him to pick that one.
Yeah, well, sometimes it wasn't even that. He just wanted to kill people. Sometimes it's just
death.
Yeah, he would steal their stuff and like, oh, there's a person here as well. I'll just slit their throat.
Yeah.
And then when he left that house, he would go across the street and kill another person, like an insane person. He's really creepy. I guess, is he dead?
Yeah, he's dead. That's why he was in the 5th season of American Horror Story, because only dead serial killers were allowed to attend.
Yeah, sure. Thank God, because that guy scares me.
Yes.
He scares me more than someone like Jeffrey Dahmer. Even though what Jeffrey Dahmer did was fucking sick.
That's the thing, though. Jeffrey Dahmer was mentally ill in a way that it was an effect of his upbringing and the society he lived in.
Yeah.
Ramirez was fucking a lunatic. That's it.
He was a crazy person.
There was no reason behind it, which is why it's more interesting.
But that's just scary. That's not interesting to me. That's just scary. That's like the AI. I mean, it's just scary.
I think it's because we have an explanation for why Dahmer did what he did. Yeah. So it's not as intriguing anymore. We know, we understand, and we don't need to know more. We know why he did what he did, even if we can always speculate there's more behind it. I wouldn't say that it is. It's neglect and growing up in a family and a society where his urges were not okay at most.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of someone else. There's so many other, especially in America for some reason, famous serial killers.
Yeah.
But I can only think of Ramirez and Ted Bundy. And I actually don't know, I don't remember which one Ted Bundy is.
Well, he's the handsome guy who like kidnapped women and killed them.
He's not the one who had a cult, right?
No.
That's someone else.
I don't think he really had like a typical MO. He was just like, he was charming, and that's how he got women to come with him.
Yeah, and that's why he's interesting, because when he was in prison, people wanted to marry him.
Yeah. But then
he's not interesting for his killings. It's interesting because people thought he was handsome.
But then you have the Zodiac, which they technically still don't know who it was, even though some people think they do now. You have John Wayne Gacy, which I guess is more like a Jeffrey Dahmer guy, but worse, because he killed a lot more people.
Yeah, did he kill children as well?
Younger boys and men he killed.
Yeah, maybe that's one. Yeah.
And it was especially gruesome because he buried them underneath his own house while maintaining he was an upstanding member of society and had a family and everything. Super gross.
Well, we don't have to discuss all of them over here because I was thinking that we should do one of them for the Patreon episode.
Yeah, we can do that. There's the Green River Killer and BTK, Bind, Torture, Kill, and what's it called? Hillside Strangler, I think. Which was two guys who dressed up as cops and they busted prostitutes. You're going to prison, lady, and then they just strangled them in the car.
Maybe we can do a Twitter poll for people to choose for us, because I cannot decide. I weirdly enough, which is a common theme, especially for some reason amongst women, true crime is interesting.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I know
there's a primal reason for it, but
yeah, I've heard that there's someone explained it half jokingly, half seriously. It's a
cautionary tale.
Yeah. They watch it because it's as close as you can get to being in a life-threatening situation without it actually being or something like that. Some weird.
Yeah, partially that. But it's also okay, this is what we should look out for. Let's not get into that situation.
Yeah. I think it's
These are the signs of a serial killer or someone who will actually want to murder you. Good to know.
I can find that quote. Hold on.
Also, when you see how someone survived a situation like that, it's that's what I should do. That's how to get out of the situation as well. Because there are survivors, if I remember correctly, from some of these notorious killers.
Well, yeah.
I hate that we call them famous and notorious. That's also glamorizing them.
Yes, that's
we're part of the problem now because we're making an episode about it.
I know. We're just talking about a movie.
Technically. You're trying to find the quote?
Yeah, but there's so many articles about why women love. Hey, research reveals why women love true crime. Women's Hour, True Crime, 5 reasons why women love it. This is why women are obsessed with true crime stories. From Vogue India. This is it. Couldn't you just... Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. But,
yes, that's it for today, I think.
I think so, yeah.
We'll pick another movie about a serial killer.
Because the guy who wrote this, well, I guess technically he was uncredited. He was script consultant on the movie. David Burke. He hasn't written that much. But he did write...
He wrote Slender Man.
He wrote fucking Slender Man, one of the worst movies ever made. Which is kind of funny because he also wrote... he wrote the script for Elle, which I haven't seen, but I know that was a very celebrated movie when it came out. A real, serious, mature, grown-up movie about rape revenge.
Oh,
and then he did Benedetta, which is a super interesting movie about faith.
But that's also interesting to talk about.
Classy, big budget, European.
A nun in Italy suffers
movie.
from disturbing religious and erotic visions.
Yes, it's a great movie.
I just saw Jesus in the video that starts playing.
Oh yeah,
a guy who looked like Jesus.
Yeah. So it's funny that he has written trash like Slender Man, and then he wrote movies like Elle and Benedetta. And he did write. Right, that's why I looked him up. He wrote that John Wayne Gacy movie that came out a year after Dahmer. So, could do that maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Oh, right. He's the guy who dressed up as a clown.
Yeah.
I remember.
Pogo?
I think so.
I think it was called Pogo the Clown, yeah. Yeah, and he became notorious because instead of doing round shapes, it was all angles in his face, and that's why clowns don't do that anymore.
Yeah, because it's too connected to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
We'll
see.
We'll see.
if you want to know what we end up talking about, check out the Patreon on Monday.
Yes, patreon.com/don'tmagazine. Check it out. Support the podcast and get hundreds of hours of exclusive stuff. Yes. But yeah, that's going to have to be it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode. But until then, have a good one.
Bye.
The Spoilercast is part of Please Don't Make a Scene. It is hosted by Tobias Vedén and Rebecca Vedén. Produced and directed by Tobias Vedén. Executive producer is Annika Vedén and Laura Kinney. Also a huge shout out to all our patrons. Laura Kinney, Mom, Dad, Mom and Mac. If you want to join our Patreon, check us out on patreon.com/don'tmakeascene. You get exclusive episodes, commentary tracks, and much, much more. Support independent podcasting.